Hello friends, and welcome back to our free-to-play series on Bloodline, Heroes of Lithas. My name is RagePanda1. As you can see, we're still at $0 spent on our free-to-play account. I suppose that makes sense. Now what I want to talk to you guys about in this episode, aside from the standard updates that we'll go through, is a little bit of people buying in too much to what they see on the internet. Now, I know it's weird for a content creator to tell you you shouldn't listen to content creators. But what you should do is you should use content creators as a jumping off point to help you make decisions before you know what is going on. Everybody and their mother will tell you that female Ignis is S tier and amazing and you should use it. And they're not wrong. She's really good. She's awesome. But you don't have to use her. It's not like every other character is trash. And I have some examples here. For one, I've been talking for the past day, since the hotfix came out, about how female Elzadeth is incredible. Let's talk about it here. She has her attack that just goes off all the time, hits everybody on the enemy team unless they have an assassin that jumps into your backline. It hits everybody. And when it hits everybody, it's reducing their attack speed by up to 30%. Mine is only leveled up to do 20% right now. But it also does quite a bit of damage. Now, is she going to do as much damage as a burst mage? No, she's not. But what she's going to do is she's going to reduce that attack speed by up to 30%, and then her normal attacks reduce the enemy's attack speed by up to 30%. Mine's only leveled up to 10% right now, but that adds up quite a bit, especially considering the first ability is going to hit the majority of the enemy team. Are there times where that will be bad? Yes, and that's part of the point. There are times where every character is going to be bad. And you need to understand those times if you want to succeed in the game. You need to be ready to pivot to respond to even one specific level that you're stuck on. And then for her active ability, she's going to do Rain of Ice arrows in a target area. Now, a lot of people don't like target area spells. And why is that? Because a lot of people aren't making the most of their target area. They're not making it work for them. So let's say you're using male Griffin or a male Sallyhorn or somebody who's pushing enemies into the backline. Well, this isn't going to be as good for you then because you're not building into your synergies. If you're going to use somebody who's pushing the enemy all over, then you should be using people more like the female Ignis, who has abilities that just jump from one enemy to the other and it doesn't matter where they are. Or a female Fulgur who just hits everybody no matter where they are. That's fine. You can also do that. But if I say want to use a male Ignis who does a truckload of damage and I want to support that, how am I going to support that? Well, I'm going to use a male Tidestorm for one. Because my male Tidestorm is going to pull in an enemy. So that's one more enemy that's in the ball of melee that we're all going to be hitting with our AoE attacks. And if I'm doing that anyway, well then I should use somebody like her. Why should I use somebody like her? She doesn't do as much damage as the male Ignis. Well, she's not all about damage, and the whole game is not all about damage. You can build a full damage team that's all burst mages, and then you're going to feel like the game is all based on getting your burst off before the enemy gets their burst off. But that's because you built a team that is that way. That's not because the whole game is that way. So you should feel free to try anything and everything that you have. It can be good. You can make it good. Even the people who are bad, you can make them good. So is it worth all the effort to make the worst characters in the game good? I don't know, maybe not, but maybe you think that's fun. Don't listen to some creator who says you can't ever use this, you're playing wrong if you use this. Unless they're talking about the male luxuriant. Don't ever use him, he's the worst. So on top of the attack speed reduction, which works now, which is incredible, on top of having a chance to inflict frozen, which goes up to a 30% chance, on top of doing really quite good damage, not the top damage, but really quite good damage, she comes with a trait that makes her attacks have a 10% chance to stun the target. And this is for 1.25 seconds. So if we compare that to something else, if we look at our female Karguk here, now given her stun that we're going to talk about is an AoE, but it's for 1.5 seconds. So on the female Elzadeth, to just have that as a base chance when she's attacking, that's incredible. Her utility is amazing on top of the fact that she does really quite good damage. So do not sleep on this character. She's amazing. She's very good. And there are more important things than simply doing the top damage and nothing else. If you look at the male Ignis, he crushes people. He does a ton of damage, especially if you're setting him up to do it. But he does nothing else. So people get confused, I think, when they see, oh, it just does less damage. It's not as good. That's not how it works. The same is true for male Tidestorm versus female Tidestorm. Female Tidestorm is probably going to do more damage for you. But what is this guy going to do? He's going to pull people from the backline into melee and make them die faster. Hugely important. And he's got a stun, a 3-second stun on his active skill. So that's incredible. And he also just got buffed, even though he was already, in my opinion, an S-tier character, if those exist. Because now his attack speed buff is actually going to work properly. And it wasn't doing that before. So how else am I going to support these characters? Well, obviously I need to do more damage. And honestly, take female Lionstone out of the game. She's too mandatory. It's one of the few characters where it just feels too mandatory. Yes, you can succeed without her, and yes, it's annoying to succeed without her because she makes your whole team do so much more damage. I don't think there's another skill in the game that has that effect across the board. And I like using her, but that's kind of because she's overpowered, right? So increasing all of my people's strength and attack speed by almost 200 I guess mine's at 250% right now. That's absurd. Especially since attack speed is actually working now. I think they're going to have to do something about this character. So when I'm building this team, of course I'm going to use her. She's too good to not use. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to use another unpopular character, which is the female Karguk. Why in the world would I use female Karguk? The internet told me she bad, don't use. Well, she's not bad. She's actually not very bad. Why is she not very bad? Because we're building towards her strengths. We're using our male Tidestorm to pull things in. We're focusing on keeping the enemy from absolutely destroying our face by reducing their attack speed and getting several stuns out. 2 of my other characters have stuns on them. She has an AoE stun that is being made stronger because the male Tidestorm is in the mix. So, she also recovers health for each enemy that you kill. Now, is that going to be amazing? Yes, it is going to be amazing. It is going to be really good. And I'm going to show you in this video where I'm fighting people who are 60 levels higher than me in campaign, where she's tanking them and surviving because her health is chunking all the way up. And yeah, it says I'm going to get 6% health, but I don't know if it's just not working as intended or what, but her health just skyrockets. And she'll be at full health against people who are 60 levels higher. So I think people are underestimating that. Maybe they're just reading the things, or maybe they're not positioning her correctly, because she's not meant to be your main tank where every single character on the field is hitting her. You want your Lion Stones to be taking most of the damage. Why? Because we just want their active to go off. That's the only reason they're there. So their active goes off and they die and it's fine. By that time, we've killed one or two. Our Karguk is healed to full. And now we have a frontliner for the rest of the game who's going to help us win. On top of that, you're taking much less damage with her. Her active ability reduces all damage taken for me right now by 36%. That is significant. On top of that, it's going to remove all negative effects from the caster. There are a lot of them that stack up quite often in this game, so that's pretty fantastic. Now, she's also reducing damage via her stun and her inherent trait. Now, upon being attacked, there's a 20% chance to reflect almost 6% of that damage at my level. And when you reflect damage in most games, and I'm assuming in this one, that means you don't take that damage. So then, how do you build this character to make them good? Well, I think the build is important on her. I think Honorable is nearly essential. I think it's fantastic. And Bestial is incredible. Everybody talks about Cutthroat, and Cutthroat is usually the way to go if you want to do lifesteal. But if you're on a character like this, where essentially you want to be building as much Constitution as possible, if she was Mythic, I would have flat stat Constitution, I would have percent stat Constitution, and I would have Bestial and Honorable. And I think that that combination would make her unstoppable. Because when you're healing for percent health, and your health is an incredibly high number, then you're going to be having a good time. Let me tell you. Would it be great if I could also get some attack speed in there to make that proc even more often? It would, but I don't think it's better than the other options. So, my point is that people will tell you not to use these characters, but these characters are fine. They just might not be fine in every situation and on every team, and it's your job to become aware of when are these people good. A lot of the people that I hear spoken of a lot on the internet are people that are just generally good. You can use them quite a lot, and you'll be fine. You don't have to consider it too much. You don't have to worry about who they're with. But even the male Lycanus gets a little flack for not being that great. Well, yeah, sometimes he's not that great. If I'm using this team where I have an AoE stun for a group, and I have an area of attack skill that's for a tiny group, then I don't want to fear them across the nation. That's bad. I want them to be grouped up. I still want to keep my male Tidestorm so that I can get them grouped up so that the fear does more, but I want my damage to be hitting everybody no matter where they are. So when you take these things into consideration, you can build much better teams, and I think that I've had great success with that, because if we look at the leaderboard, I'm 172 in terms of might, but on the campaign I'm 95. And the reason is because I'm pivoting my team, and to be fair, I haven't even stopped progressing yet. And a lot of these people on this server are considerably higher than me. So to clarify what I mean when I say that the male luxuriant is garbage, by all means, if you love him, you should use him. I don't think that you will love him. I don't think that you will love him because of his active skill. Number one, it's just simply annoying and ruins the flow of battle, especially when there's only one character left. It's just annoying. You don't want it to be happening. But also, if my other people are doing their big attacks on a certain person and that person gets banished before the attack lands, I've just lost damage and I've lost cooldowns, and that can be very annoying. On top of that, if I'm hitting the last person that's in melee with my banish, then my team runs up and now everybody's disjointed and the enemy's behind us, and it's not great. It just doesn't work out that great. It's good CC, 5 seconds is really good. I just think it's annoying and it ruins the fun of the game for me personally. Does that mean you can't use him? Absolutely not. If he works for you, you should use him, and nobody should tell you that you shouldn't use him. And people on forums and Facebook groups that are telling you that your people are trash and essentially making you feel bad about your progress in the game because they don't like your units, don't listen to that. You are doing fine, and you will still do fine with just about anybody in the game. I'm sure I lost several of you in my rant, but I'm just trying to help you with that information, and I hope it does. If anything I'm saying does help you, then please do subscribe, because my whole goal with the channel is to entertain people and help them to make better decisions as we move forward with the game. Speaking of moving forward with the game, we have made quite some progress. We got pretty good rewards from our Valley of Conquerors that we were a part of. You will see on our female Elzadeth that we got ourselves a mythic weapon, which is a huge upgrade since we were using purples. I have upgraded that to level 10, and for our lovely mage here, we got 2 mythic pieces of equipment, a weapon which is level 10, and a pair of boots at level 7. So I'm very happy about that. On top of all of that good shenanigans, we got a lot of companion tokens for summons, and we were able to finish off our Sallyhorn companion, which is incredible. I have 4 accounts right now, and that is the fastest I've ever been able to finish the Sallyhorn. And I'm not even to legendary with this young lady yet, although we're getting super close, and we're to the point where we're saving diamonds so that we can spend it all on intimacy parts. And just to remind you, the reason that we're going for 2 rank 1 companions to be mythic is because it makes it a lot easier for us to transfer enough traits onto the same person to make them exactly what we want without wasting wedding rings. Because I can marry a Trevane companion to him, and then a Sallyhorn, and then I have had 2 marriages then, and I should be able to do a Trevane companion again, and I didn't have to do any interim marriages to make it go through. So on top of that, just having the Sallyhorn in general gives me a companion where I can actually farm tank units, which I was not otherwise able to do. Our companionship levels are just cranking it to the max. Everything that we have costs 12k to upgrade right now, so that is huge. And our districts are doing 35k a minute right now. We could upgrade and optimize that a little bit more if we wanted to go through all of our champions and upgrade all the ones with Noble and get them all in the right spot. But I'm pretty happy with where we're at, so we're not going to do that. We have spent some of our treasure chests of gold, but again, we have not spent all of them. We're just using enough to get over the humps when we need them, and so far that's been working out great for me. In terms of our challenges, we have an intimacy challenge for cross-server, which we are currently rank 118. Perfectly happy with that for somebody who's not spending any money. And then in our other challenges for charm and districts on our server, we are 34 and 26 respectively. So that's going to give us some great rewards, which is going to help us get even closer to getting our first mythic companion. And to upgrade you on the status of our champions that we've been summoning, we have gotten quite a few of the Strixbane, which I'm very happy with. We're going to be able to upgrade those to a very usable status. We are still stuck on mythics, and I have done so many summons, I just can't get an extra one. I guess it is what it is. We've got companions coming along to fix that problem. So even in terms of legendaries, we are pretty dry, because the male Lume, the Scorched Fire, essentially useless to me because I can't upgrade them. I don't have any copies of them. they can't be used. Our mythic, we got the male griffin, but he is not my favorite. He doesn't play into how I am currently building at all because I'm trying to group things up instead of separate them. So even with purples, we don't have a ton of options, but we're coming along in terms of companions, and that's gonna save the day. I think after we get the Sally Horn done, we're gonna be going for the Aeson for a companion to level up because we need a support. It is sometimes rough in the hood when you don't have a support behind you. So that's the update. Those are the plans. I hope I didn't anger you too bad by telling you, don't listen to people like me. Use us for tips and tricks, and then go out into the world and make your own choices. Try not to tell people that all of their things are garbage, because they probably aren't. There's ways to make everything good, and thank you very much for watching the video. I will see you in the next one.